All right, welcome. In this, we're going to continue what we started in the last video, and that's going to be this loan approval project that we are currently working on. We are taking to um, production. We are trying to we're trying to take a trained model, build a pipeline for that, and deploy it with FastAPI. So, yeah, let's bring up the project. We are going to come here and say to activate the virtual environment with venv /scripts /activate. Perfect. So the next thing to do after activating the virtual environment is to bring up VS Code. So we've written the first batch of the code that produces the pipeline. We've written all the steps that we need for now, and we've written the pipeline also. What we are left with is just tying it all together and running the pipeline. So yeah, so this is we have our training step for data cleaning. So we defined the drop columns, we defined the encode dataset step, we defined the split dataset step and the scale dataset. Then we also have for data loading, we have for training.py and for train model. Then outside that we have our pipeline.py, and inside pipeline.py we have the loan pipeline dataset. Yeah. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to come here and initialize. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, we are going to initialize ZenML. So we're going to say this is my terminal. I moved it up the last time. Check pipeline. Let's check our training. I think everything is fine in the training. Okay, perfect. So I can come here and say UV ZenML init. UV run ZenML init. So we want to initialize a new kind of like ZenML pipeline here so that it can give us a .zen uh, folder here that tracks everything that we are doing. So we say UV run ZenML init. It should initialize the ZenML kind of tracking folder in this area when this is done. And once that is done, we can run our pipeline, which is this one here. But I think this one from yesterday was showing us, it says parameter of type pipeline is not assignable to. So, oh, okay. So since this returns something, we can probably just, we probably should come here and annotate it. So this is going to be, let's say from typing, excuse me, from typing underscore extensions import. Do we need to annotate? I'm not sure, but let's just do that. Then we can say from typing import optional. Then we can also say from sklearn dot ensemble. We can import random forest classifier. Perfect. So we can come here now and say this should return annotated optional of pd dot data frame. Sorry, that's not pd dot data frame. That's going to be random forest classifier. Random forest classifier, and that is going to be the base model. Sorry, the pipeline. Pipeline. So I guess that should clear up this because cases argument of type random classifier cannot be assigned to parameter that function return type is incompatible with. Yeah, we've done that, so that should clear this up because that should clear this up because now this is returning um hmm, or another thing we could do is we could probably usually pipelines should not in my opinion pipelines don't usually have um, any return type, right? So I could probably remove this. Yeah. So it does this because it removes that because where is it? The steps for the training will automatically return the steps for the training here will return the model. So but that's fair enough. So let's just leave this particular pipeline without any return. So cool. Let's come to this place and this is done. We've initialized what we ran earlier. UV runs ZenML in it. So we have initialized this and you're going to see that there is a new .zen here. So the next thing we're going to do is let's check our pipe project Tomo and see if we have ZenML server. We do have ZenML server. So this is extremely important. If you don't have ZenML server, you probably should come to your terminal or definitely and say something like this UV add ZenML server like this. Perfect. And in some cases, if you add UV add if you do UV add fast API all, if this is where you installed fast API, it might create a conflict with ZenML server. So you probably should remove that and just do UV add fast API. Then you do UV standard, just like we did at the start of this class of this session. Then also add, ZenML server. So that is how you are going to do something like that. But we've done all of this, and how do we know? Because if we check our pipe project Tomo here, there is fast API, there is UV standard, and there is ZenML server. Cool. So what's the next thing to do? The next thing to do is to actually run the pipeline. So I'm going to say UV run this pipeline here, pipeline.py, and we see if we have any error, then we just go ahead and fix it. And if not, we're going to bring up our pipeline. We're going to bring up our pipeline and see how the execution went. So yes, it's still loading, still loading. That's taking a little too long. We're going to see whatever the issue is, we will see shortly. Still loading, and it's probably going to be some Windows thing. And if you are following, like, or if you have a Linux machine, it should be way faster than this. It's always faster than this on a Linux machine. So, but I guess we just have to wait. I don't know if I'll have to pause the video, pause the recording, because this is taking longer than it should. Uh, okay, so I'm just gonna pause the video, and once it's done, whether it throws an error or whatever it throws, I'm gonna restart the video from there. All right, welcome back. We are here now. So it has executed, and yeah, we have an error. So it says inside training.py, we have this base model, and there is, we're missing this quote behind the function. So let's go check training.py. I think that's this. I think that was even the red that I was showing us earlier. So yeah, cannot believe we missed that. So that clears that up. Let's go back into our terminal, clear off this so that we have a clean thing to work with. Then we can go UV run pipeline.py again, and hope to God that it's faster now. My doubt is going to be faster now because I have enable cache as false. So it's literally going to be doing everything like um over. But I just like to always add enable cache equals false so that if I'm adjusting anything or if I'm debugging, at least the whole thing gets to run. Okay. It says an error occurred. Detail float argument must be a string or a real number, not a step artifact. Where is that? Hmm. Let's see the old execution. So it has initiated a new run for the pipeline, loan pipeline. So one of our steps here, okay, says you can visualize step load data started. We're currently loading data. That's interesting. So load data started and load data finished. That is interesting. So we get data loaded successful with the following attributes. So dot info that we called, we didn't actually call it properly. And we are seeing almost the whole column here. Probably load data. So probably should fix that. We should not have something like this. Then we also need pi arrow so we can clear all this output. Then secondly, load data completed, drop columns also started, and drop column completed. These are now all of the columns that we have. And then drop columns finished, which means it worked. Encode dataset started, encode dataset also finished. And for some reason, the dot info that we are calling is returning everything, which is just supposed to return the columns and in the information of the columns. But for some reason, we are getting the whole thing. So in our split data set, we have an error, and that says low status not found in axis. Great. That is great. If we go back to the top here and check, okay, I think there is a um space. It's kind of like a space between um this thing, you know, the names. I don't know why that is, but there is kind of like a space there. So what we are going to do is firstly go back into um our stuff. So this broke at the end of the day. So firstly, we are going to come into, let's see how we can do that. We are going to come into um, the data loading step, I think, and we are going to fix this display. I do not quite like the way this is coming out. So let's go into data cleaning or even data loading first. Yeah, so this is the reason this data info should have open bracket, close bracket, like that. We should call it as a method, not as an attribute. Then do we have another place where we are logging data info? Let's see. Data columns, perfect. Data dot info here also. We are going to end that too. Then let's see if this is the problem. So although we are going to come back and strip this issue. So if this is the problem, then we should definitely strip all of those extra space out of the column names. So um yeah, this looks good to me for now. So let us come back in here and rerun this and see if we don't have any error. And I mentioned when we were writing that, this is the reason why whenever you are doing your steps, you probably should raise the error so that, because if you keep saying none like that, like we do, which is actually cool, but if we keep doing that, um if we keep doing that, the step is going to escape to a place where we cannot really use the non type that we are passing, and that is going to be a problem. But you're going to see what I mean shortly. So if we come here and say uv run pipeline of py and we run that, what are we going to have? Let us check. It is still running. Yeah, it has started running again, and it has initiated a new run. Great. And loader has started. Okay, perfect. So here we haven't installed pyro, that's why we are still getting zero. But you see that the info is printing out in a cleaner way now. So these are all of the data frame, and this load data step finished. Everything seems to work now. We've encoded the data set, but the data frame returned none. I think so after encoding. Now that's interesting. After the encode data set, let's see. Encode data set started where? Here. And I think it finished where? Yeah. Encode data set finished here. And after finishing, when we called .info, it was actually none. So we are going to fix that. And for some reason, split data set entered correctly here. And scale data set also worked. So the last thing that executed is scale data set. So let's check our pipeline. Do we have training? Yes. So trade model did not execute. So let's go into this particular step where is it? This step where the encoder returned none, the data returned none, which is this place. So we're gonna come to data cleaner, and where is the encoder? I think there's a part there where we said return none. Let's see. Label encoders equals none. Label encoders equals dict. The label encoders here is going to be dict or none. Then this returned our data, new data info, data.info. Okay, if an exception happened, we should let's raise the exception. If an exception happened, we're going to raise it here. So it does not just pass. But I doubt an exception happened because we didn't see any exception here. So let's check to see if this logic works as it should. Say label encoder is equals none, and label encoder is equals this categorical columns equals that and that. There's actually a part. Oh yeah, it is this drop columns that we might have an issue. I think we might have an issue here in this area here. So instead of doing return none here, we are not. Oh yeah, perfect. This is it. So this no. Yeah, that's true. This loan ID, if you check CMD here, and I'm going to actually correct all of this. If you check CMD, you're going to see that loan ID where we loaded the data set, I think around here. Um, do we have loan ID? Okay, let's do this. Let's come to this place and check number of this. Okay, this is drop columns. Let's go back to the top, all the way to the top. I think so. No. That is the previous run. The new run is around here. Yeah. So yeah, there's this loan ID here, and there's space. I think there has to be space there. So we are going to clear this off because we've added. If you check the cleaner.py, we've added this space here to reflect the space that is in the data set. So I'm going to CLS this clear screen. Then another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say UV add pi arrow because ZenML needs pi arrow, right? And I think for the materializer, all of these things you can check them in the docs. You're going to see clean explanation as to why things are the way they are. So let's run UV run pipeline.py again and see. And the reason why that return none earlier is because here we are saying if there is a problem in this place, just say an error occur and return none. So in this case here, loan ID has space in it from the data set, which is what we saw from looking at the log, the output, the log here. So this particular loan ID here actually has some space in it. So, or that's what I'm guessing because every other one has that space. But we're going to find out shortly when this kicks off again. And once everything is done, I will actually try to clean up that part of things. The same problem still persists. We still have this none. So what I'm going to actually do now is, okay, it says an error called loan ID not found in axis. So loan ID does not exist. We have this error output again. So it means that loan ID is actually written the right way. Let us alter this code. I'm going to return this back to loan ID here. And if there is actually an error, just raise the error. We're going to raise the error. And we just return data as is, like as it is here. So data comes in here, data that drop. Yeah. So I'm going to come here and clear screen, then UV run again. Let's see if it works this time. And yeah, still coming up, I guess. I'm particularly interested in the reason why it is not getting to, let's check our pipeline. The reason why it is not getting to this place. So it is not getting to train model. It's stopping at scaling, I think. So we're going to find out. Yeah. So the same thing is still happening. Data loaded successfully with the following attributes. Still bringing out none. Drop columns. Encoded data sets. Okay. With attribute none. What's happening? Meanwhile, split data set is getting the old data. Hmm. Okay, let us just see how uh, things go here. Should scale next. And after, okay, splitting has finished and is splitted. You can't split um a none like this. So what value is there's a bug somewhere, and exactly I think that's the reason why model training is not happening. First, let's check our training.py. Train model X to next test. Oh, this should be pd.dataframe. Data frame. I think that can be one of the places where the bug is. Oh, I found two things. We didn't actually add. Uh, we didn't tell this guy that this should be a step. pd.dataframe, and no. This is not going to be a data frame. It's going to be a series. pd.series. Then this also is going to be a series, right? Cool. pd.series, not just series. pd.series. Perfect. So this is another mistake that we made. We forget to wrap this in at step. Great. Then the other issue that we are dealing with comes from uh, the fact that we are getting none. Let's actually check the logs again. So we are getting none here, like data loaded successfully with the following attributes, none. And in the log, what log? What are we looking at here? Class load data loaded successfully with following attributes, none. So where did this come from? Load data has finished. Where do we have load data has started? Here. So let's go into that data loader. So in data loader, we return read on data frame, data equals none. Outside of that, so we come in here, we say found data path. Did it actually log found data path? Yeah, it says found data file in this with name this. That's cool. And we say, so these data columns, where did it come from? Let's check again. Where are you? Sorry, data loader.py. Perfect. So we found all of this. As at this point, data is none. And here we say part equals this, found data this. So we say data equals pd.read csv data URL. And after that, we have data loaded successfully with the following attributes. Data.info, which is this data here. That should not return none. So where did this come from? I'm calling .info around this execution, not on the none. So this should return data loaded successfully with the following attributes. This one here, this thing here, not none like this. And to be honest, that is a little tricky. The reason why that is happening is a little tricky. This equals none is how this is going to know that either returns a none or uh, try data equals none or data equals, yeah, this works. Okay, let's remove this for now and give that another spin. Let's give that another spin and see what the output is going to look like. Initiating a new run for the pipeline. You still have that issue with the float from earlier. I think has been sorted. Still have that problem. Data loaded successfully with the following attributes, none. And this is interesting. Encoded data successfully, new data info, none again, and it is getting printed. Everything is now in. For example, if you look at this place, we have a few objects here before encoding, and after encoding, everything is integer, meaning the encoding worked. But I do not know why this is printing out none here. Then splitted the data set. If we are actually returning a non-type alone, we are not supposed to be able to be we are not supposed to be seeing all of these guys, these things here. Scale data set complete, scale data set complete. Step train, model has started train, and the model trained, everything worked. But this none that I'm seeing here is stressing me, man. But I don't know. So we are going to actually so the model has actually trained overfitted you know train F1 scored 1.0, test F1 scored 0.97, but that is not the point. That is not exactly where we are going to. Where we're actually going to is to just see how to visualize our pipeline. So let's go to UV run. So to bring up the pipeline so that we see how everything works. So I can say UV run ZenML login dash dash local. If you're on something like Linux, this is going to sort you out. Just run this. But Windows is always dramatic, so you have to add dash dash blocking and do enter like that. So if we run that, it should take us to the server. So that is still going, still going. So let's see. Should spin up a server for us or not? I think it is doing that. And we are up. Yeah, so we can hold control and click on this thing. So that is going to open up a web page for us. So we are here. Next thing to do is to, you're going to like, oh, just click on default. They're always, hold on. Okay, click on default here. Perfect. So you can click on this. We had 7 runs. All those times when this thing was not working, and I think this is from another class. So I'm going to click on this loan pipeline, and that like all of the runs that were buggy that ran into an error. So this is the last run, corresponds with the current time 9:21. This is currently 9:25. So the last one we ran was 9:21. So we can click on this and visualize the run. So it's going to show us a diagram of the entire pipeline, which is one of the cool things that ZenML gives you. So if I zoom in properly here, you're going to see that we have the load data, and you can click on a particular step. So this is the step, this is the output of the step, and it returns the data frame. Imagine. So I do not know why that guy was printing none in the log. Maybe there's something I was doing wrong. In fact, you can actually, if you want, you can download the data set, and that is the beautiful thing about um ZML. Or you can load it with code. If you run this particular code, it's going to return the exact same data set at this step. And you can also check metadata, the number of rows and columns in the data set, the standard deviation, the mean, standard deviation of each of the columns. This is the loan ID that we dropped later. And you can also visualize. So if you actually load this visualize, it's going to give you something like dot describe. If you've worked with pandas a lot, give you dot describe, like a quick descriptive statistics of the entire um, data set. So that is for the full data set output of the load data step. And if you click on load data step, you can actually see a lot of important information along the lines of code. Firstly, this is the code that resulted in the output that we have, and you can check logs also. So this is the entire log for the load data step. So we have, okay, the step has been loaded. We logged that we found the data in this part. Then we also created this, and right. So this is none here. Data loaded successfully with the following attributes. None. I do not know why this is coming, and it's going to be something very um dumb that I'm doing. Right. So yeah, that is that is fine. So if you check, you can actually do this for majority of, and you can check metadata and all of the configurations, you know, all of the code to recreate the step, to get the configuration of the step, everything you can get it here, and there are no metadata here. So for drop columns also, the whole thing is here. And if I should click on drop redundant column and check the log, no, not the output, the log actually, drop columns. If we check the logs of that, we're going to see that we do not have loan underscore ID anymore, which is what we intended to drop. Then, sorry, encode data set also here. And if you check the logs, you're going to see that everything is going to be integer now. We've converted everything to integer. And we didn't actually convert everything to integer. We converted all the categorical columns to integer. Then we also returned the label encoder object. And if we want to load that, and again, this is the beautiful thing about um, uh, ZenML is, if I want this label encoder, let's say in FastAPI or something like that, all I have to do is to just get it. I just have to like run this. So if I get this, I'm going to just load that particular artifact. That is this label encoder. Then after encode dataset returns label encoder and encoded data. And after that, we step into split dataset. The encoded data will split into X train X test and Y train Y test. And after splitting it, we further passed X train and X test into scale dataset. We scale it. So we have the scaled X train, scaled X test. And we take those two, the scale X train, scale X test and Y train Y test, pass it into train model, and it returns this random forest classifier. And if we need this base model, Also, this final model, we can actually just call it by uh, running this. So that is basically the pipeline. So the pipeline works as it should, except for the log that is printing out none in some case, and that is, as we've seen, not impacting anything. That's not a problem for now. Except I'm guessing the reason why that may be happening. Let's go check it out in dataloader.py. If we come to dataloader.py, and instead of going to the next line to do this, I'm just going to say I'm going to remove this and just pass this in like this without the line break. So I'm going to come here and stop this server. And if I have it in another place, let's say data in data cleaner, I'm going to let me leave it in the other places. Oh, I have a line break here, so let me actually and let me leave it in this place. Yeah. So let's come to this place and rerun that and see if he removes it in data loader, then maybe that line break is the reason. So if I should do uv run pipeline.py again and see, although everything works, I just really am not comfortable with the none that we were seeing earlier. So let's see, initiating a new run for the pipeline. Um, yeah, says upload data started. Still there, still there, still there. So, well, whatever that is, at some point we are going to figure it out before we finish the project. And the very weird thing, like the very interesting thing is this thing that is getting printed at the top of the log here is expected to be printed below the log, like encoded data set successful, new data info there. That should be this, not the other way around. So, well, whatever that is, before we finish the project, I'm probably going to figure out whatever it is. But it is not really affecting anything as of now, so we are fine. So, yeah, I'm going to end this video here, and in the next one, we are going to write the fast API part where we um, take this particular base model currently, and we put it inside a production environment where we expose it as an API. So thank you for tuning in. Catch you in the next one.